All right, everybody, welcome. Another What's Your Story? Another great guest is in the house, and someone that I met and really have just come to really enjoy a lot of the content and perspective that he's doing things that I don't necessarily get deep in. So it'd be kind of cool to have his perspective. AK is in the house. Anime Night, my friend. What is going on, brother? Thank you for doing this.
Good morning, pops, and yes, it's a wonderful honor to be here. We have been planning this for a while. It's just
Sure.
I'm a lot harder to get a hold of on certain days, but luckily the stars aligned, and I made sure to double check before I got here with you because I checked my phone earlier and I'm like, cool, I am off today, no calls, no nothing. So all my time is with you. I am doing wonderful. Tired, but I'm doing wonderful.
He's on the West Coast, folks. See that 3 hours. This is early for the morning for him, but you know what? When you have day jobs and you're juggling schedules, things like that, this is what it's like. Content creators behind the curtain, friend. So with that though, let's talk a little bit about like why you even do this. Why are you out there streaming? Why are you trying to share your voice and your knowledge and things like that with everybody else?
The funny thing is, only few people know this story. I this is actually my second channel. My first one was back in my high school days, back in 2007, when I first started. When I got introduced into the world of YouTube. There were prominent content creators at that time. Angry Video Game Nerd is one of them. So many cool people and different perspectives. Got to meet some really cool people from that era. Got to see Irate Gamer and that whole thing. And then of course we've gotten to see so much. It was the Wild West of YouTube, way before monetization, ad revenue, way before all this for you youngsters out there. Um, back then you could do so much. Like you could record whatever you wanted. Hell, you can even record your uncle cussing up a storm with with his neighbor across the street, and people would still watch it. But that's how wild it was back then. And so with my content, it was sparingly. I had like no direction at that time because I was still in high school and I just threw whatever stuck, and I went away for a while. In 2011, I went away for a while. Though when AOL, because I used an AOL account at the time, that disappeared, and so I completely lost all access to that account. I could not get that one back. So I thought, well, my time will come. Fast forward to 2018, where I really launched it. Started out with a few Akibento boxes. It was a monthly subscription box that it was like all anime and everything. Some of the stuff in here is from that box, and so I went through. I met more prominent people, and then as the years went on, I got to meet a bigger audience of like-minded folk, and I figure I show off my collection and also give my insights, like my perspective of growing up, because I started watching. I started watching anime June 1st, 1998. Sailor Moon was my first anime, and then got to see Tanami's Midnight Run, and got to live through the 2000s and to the 2010s and up in 2020. So many long years, and I wanted to do this again because I wanted to give it another shot. I'm like, you know what, I could do better. I looked at my old channel and I'm like, you know what, I could do a lot better than this, a lot better. And to my credit, I was right. I did way better than I expected, and I've gotten to meet some mentors like you, of course, and also got to meet other prominent figures behind the channels and everything. I'm good friends with a few of them, and you mentioned my name, people will know exactly who you're talking about. I'm not one of the bigger YouTubers not by a long shot, but one day, hopefully. But I'm in this not for money, not for fame, none of that. I'm here to have fun while I still can, and also join other platforms and get my brand out there, and also meet another audience that I've never had a chance to meet, like your audience, Brandon the Anime Guy's audience, and a few others, also Snowdub and everybody else. It's a matter of broadening the horizons, because and also learning like from what they did and seeing like, okay, they did it this way, how can I do it like that but within my own way. And I asked for advice, and I got some and I got some like, it was a bit up and down, like most people didn't like what I was doing, and then I had other people be like, hey, we like this, but can you improve like here and here. And I sat back and I'm like, okay, I am listening, because I do listen. I listen to constructive criticism. I don't complain, and if I don't like it, then I'll just be upfront about it. But as a content creator, though, as best as I humanly can, and juggling a day job and all that, I still have fun. Whenever I come home, I just like flip on the tower and see what my friends are up to, what my mentors are up to, and see who's available to talk. And that's how it goes. And also, I look on like all like the anime news or gaming news to see what I could talk about. How if it's not a topic that's not worth it, it's not worth my time if it's not worth it. Because there have been times where I have gotten burned on a few when I got burned on a few things, and ever since then I learned from that. I That's how it goes. Unfortunately,
Yeah.
you win,
Yeah.
you lose some,
So,
but that's how it came to be.
what is something that you would tell somebody who's like they're in their they're in their 20s or younger, like you said you were really young, who was just like they're doing stuff on YouTube, they're just having fun, it's them, you know, maybe they're skating, maybe they're going to the movies, maybe they're just streaming a little bit, but it's just a haphazard mess, that kind of thing. As someone who kind of said, I'm going to refocus, I'm going to kind of recalibrate, start another channel, but you're also doing stuff on Twitch, Kick, whatever, that kind of thing too. You're going to stream now. What would be something you learned from those days, though? Because I think there that even though we kind of look back at those things of, I don't know, say we failed, because I think we learned things from that that we carry on to today. So, what is something you could share with people from that era?
Oh my goodness! Wow, I never had a question like that before. That's a brand new question. I'm well. I was not prepared for that one. As someone from that era, believe me, I have been there, and you are correct. I didn't look at it as like a complete failure. It's like you just step back a little bit and watch your content, and you go, okay, how can I make this better? Or hey, this actually got more people's attention. How can I improve on that? It's just a matter of your own critique. And if you have people who've been doing this a lot longer, ask for their advice, because there are people who are willing to help you grow and become more focused, and it's just finding the niche in it. Whether it be streaming, whether it be doing skate park videos. Hey, those are a hot commodity. A lot of people would love to see those. Not too many of those nowadays, from what I noticed, or I haven't been under that in that section of YouTube in a while. But my advice would be, always take everything with an open mind, and remember, people are being very truthful with you. Don't take it as a negative light. Look at it like, try to turn it into something like, hey, I actually like that. And you will see like a response like, hey, we actually like what you did, you actually listen. If you take the time and listen to the people who are trying to help you, it will go a long way. And when you look back at that video, say like you did an old video, but you didn't like how it looked, or or this component, and then you went back and revamped it, added way more context and way more details and other things, and it gets so many hits, and you go, hey, there we go, and you'll see. I will not lie to you, it is not easy,
Yeah.
and you
I
just
think
gotta find what
that's
makes you happy.
yeah, there's a really good lesson there too. That's very wise because I think I got this from the Mr. Beast, Alec Hermosis of the world, who basically, I want to say they had to say it for me to have permission to do it, but I never really thought about taking something I had already done, not deleting it, but like reposting it again, like modify it. Like you said, I'm going to maybe add something to it, or I'm going to tweak this, or I'm going to tweak that, or something like that. You kind of like you refashion it, you make it different. In their case, they'll take the exact same content and sometimes put a new thumbnail on it or put some, they have bigger audiences, so they're kind of testing the market to see certain kinds of things. For me, it was like, well, I already did this, it didn't work, I did something wrong, it didn't go. And I've experimented with that a little bit, and that really is true that sometimes it's a little too long, or it needed to have additional editing. And one of them had said this, I don't know if this is worked, if this is in that same lane for you, was if it was like a boss employee relationship, and the person said, well, I need this done by X deadline, but not so, if this is going to be done in a week from now, what more work would you do? If this is going to be done for 30 days from now, what would you do? And by having that perspective, you're like, well, why don't you just move closer to what that would be? That goal of perfection. Now you can't always get there. You can't swim in the world of perfection, because then you end up with analysis leads to paralysis. But there's a lot of value there of doing that. Do you get caught into how you sort of, I want to say gauge your success, but like how do you look at numbers, or do you just kind of get a feel? How do you kind of gauge which things kind of work and how you want to generate your energy to kind of move that ball forward?
The way I looked at my content was, it's not about the numbers. I look, because not everything is going to be like a hit and hit. It has to take time. There is a few videos that I've done, and I've had great people. I have former people who used to be article writers and everybody, and I sat there with them and I showed them my I sent them like samples of like what I was gonna like of the video that I was doing, and they critiqued it, and they're like, okay, you spent about 5 minutes on this subject, you only spent 2 minutes on this one, and you spent everything else rambling on and on. What you want, here's what I want you to do. We'll take this, condense this part, make that only like a brief, like 3 minute mention. The main part, take it and make it into a whole thing, and your final thoughts at the end. And so I look at it like that, because I notice the longer videos that I've done with like the articles and everything, those ones, some of them got bigger numbers, others did not. And I looked at the times, like the timestamps and everything, and I realized what they were talking about, and I'm like, okay, how can I improve on this? How can I do this? And I did shorter segments with those videos, and the views just went up. And I'm like, okay, here we go. I look at it based on reaction and see what gets the ball going. And if a video is a massive success, I continue to do what I do. And also, I pick and choose like what the subject's going to be. Some subjects are good and others are not. But the one thing that I really, really regret, that my biggest regret is not studying the rumor ones. That is my number one regret. The rumor videos and everything. Those ones are probably the most difficult to do, in my honest opinion. Because one day it could be a rumor, and then the next day, oh, that is completely false. And then Another day, it's like, no, wait, it's like so much gets tossed in there, and it's hard to pin down whether it was accurate or not. There have been times where I have deleted the videos on certain topics that came out completely false and were exaggerated to a degree. And as sad as it, and even though it got a lot of views and everything, it saddened me to delete it because and it's okay to be proven wrong. It's okay. A lot of people have this "I'm always right" mentality when in reality, it's okay to be wrong every now and then own up to it, which is how I look at it.
100%. I mean, you have to own your bad take. You have to own your mistakes. You have to, I mean, so, okay, I pulled the curtain back for those of you who've been watching for a while. You guys know that I was writing for websites, doing news coverage. I mean, this is stuff that dates back to early 2000s, and wrote a story about, let's just say, a violent crime thing, and a name got switched by our source at the scene. And, you're basically telling the public that someone did something they didn't do, and vice versa. And it was rough. It was an emotionally jarring thing to have something so dramatically wrong in my life. Like, oh man, it's never what I'd want to do, whatever. And you issue a correction, you try to do the best you can with it. You learn from that. And got to be honest, at the end of the day, people were fine. Like, oh, you made a mistake. Okay. You're not a monster. The last thing you want to do is try to double down on the wrong information. I wouldn't think you do that. Chasing rumors and stuff, though, my advice on that would just be you're to me, you always have a resume of credibility. I think that I try to do that on my channel. Your channel would be the same. Everyone's got their own resume of credibility. Are you right? Are you wrong? Those kinds of things. And if you're getting information and they're wrong, you kind of take a mental note. Are they wrong again? Are they wrong again? Because at that point, maybe they're just drama farming and they're doing whatever. They're not actually getting facts and sources. I will say, I know for a fact that media, entertainment more so than news, but news too, but media for sure, they will just float bad rumors just to see where the leaks are because they know they've got leaks. They're always going to have leaks no matter what. You got a company the size of Disney or Warner, you're always going to have leaks, so they can float bad information and they'll kind of know what department or what individual might be the leaker. And I think you can just report on something as the rumor and just ask the audience what they think. Like, here's the rumor. I don't know. This is where it came from. What do you guys think? This sounds, I think this sounds right. Or maybe it sounds completely crazy. And, I think people are forgiving with that too. Because if they're completely wrong, okay, they're going to be like, well, you said Deadline was wrong. You said this came out of Deadline. So it's on Deadline, not me. Pops didn't go, oh, I got this break. No, I don't even know that. Well, if you want to be that kind of channel, it could get really rough. But yeah, you could do that, I suppose. So
It is, and it's very rough. And unfortunately, you are correct because sometimes some of the articles because remember, I read these very carefully before I do the video. If it's on a very hot topic, I read it carefully and see what was said and if the source is cited. That's the number one thing. You always look at the source. If this person really did say that, and it's in full view and everything, like it's physically there. If it's physically there, then I go ahead and do the video, give my honest take on it, and then I ask the audience at the end, like, "Hey, what do you guys think about all this?" And I sit back. I do read everybody's opinion. I may not agree with what they do say, but I gave them an opportunity to voice their thoughts on it.
Okay. What about
Because that's what you. Oh, go ahead.
No, you're fine. I was just going to say, how do you handle the hater? How do you handle the one who might get out of hand? I have a PG-13 channel, so I usually have no problem kind of, I want to say, putting a little bit of some water on some of the flames. So people don't usually come at me with crazy vitriol, and if I do, they're completely from the outside in algorithm kind of thing. You know what I mean? No one like in the circles of our friends and whatever in here going, oh, Pops, you effing blah, blah, blah. No one treats me that way because I don't treat, that's not my world. But you get hate, you're wrong, you get whatever. I've had one here recently, which is the last couple of days, where someone wrote a thesis. I obviously I'm living rent free in this person's brain for at least a few minutes for some reason. I don't know why, but what do you do with some of that kind of hate? How do you kind of deal with that? I have my take on it, but I wanted you to go first.
I've had a few people lambast me over like, oh, you were wrong and everything. How dare you say something like that? And I look at them, I'm like, are you mad because my opinion is different from yours? If so, then please, by all means, state your opinion. I try to approach it. It's so much easier to approach things diplomatically. Like you read the whole, like read the novelic, comment or anything or something like that. And I give the time to read it and see what this person is raving about. Why you're throwing eggs at my house? What's up? Well, what's up? What's up here? So I read it and I'm like, okay, this person is actually coherent enough to at least have the correct spelling and is stating their mind. That's completely fine. We have to have haters every now and then, people who do not agree with us. We have to have them. That's their job. And but if it's a punk who is uneducated, just spouts the usual insults and everything, I just ignore them. I'm like, no, I don't have time. I don't have time to dwell and dabble with the uneducated person.
But with the hating, I couldn't agree more that you have some people who are just unhinged. They just need to hate on someone. It could be something else in their life, and they read your take on anime that you think is good or bad, and they blah, 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 it has nothing to do with you, but you made them feel better, even though they probably would look at it that way. I had someone recently who just I actually did a second video. This was about Ultimate X-Men, so it's been a few weeks ago by now when you're watching this, folks. The second video, which is pretty rare, and it's me having a conversation with Angry Canadian about this issue. And he was the perfect person to do a more sort of an exposition of why I feel the way I did, because I was trying to explain here's the original Ultimate X-Men and here's the new one. So if this is what the brand is, this is what the marketing is, this is kind of the universe that you're creating something in, and then you make something that's so radically different. Don't come angry at me when I'm pointing out that the reason you don't like this is because of X, Y, and Z. Now, I didn't say if they watched both videos, they would understand. I was never trying to say this person should do this kind of work or they shouldn't whatever. But you get that sort of pushback from someone who, oh, you don't like it, but I think it's great. I'm like, but there's more to the story. Yeah. So I don't know. Sometimes I feel like the old man who's yelling at the clouds, but I think I borrowed this from, well, this is like fourth person advice. So it was like, I think it was Tom Holland in an interview talking about Christian Bale, but I think it came from someone else. But it was like, if you have a problem with me, just text me. And if you don't have my number, then you don't know me well enough to have a problem with me. And I'm like, that'll work. That has some spin to those wheels right there. Like if you're not close enough in my circles to be able to tell me you have a problem, then I really don't care. Like it's fine. You can just go on the internet and just vomit or
You can
whatever.
put
Yeah. Yeah.
there are two types of haters. There's the uneducated ones that you and I have been seeing more of lately, and unfortunately they dominate the hater section. And then there's the educated one who actually sits down and tries to watch the video and then type out their rebuttals and everything. And then we have a civil debate. It's the educated haters I miss the most, because at least with them you can have a casual debate with them, and at the end it's like, okay, I agree with what you have said on his points, and he agrees with me on my points. I may disagree, he may disagree, and that's the end of it. The problem is people are too afraid to have that nowadays, because um we have in a society we have gotten so comfortable with being in our own bubble, and how dare someone of a difference of opinion wreck our world image of that. That's the uneducated um haters mentality, from what I've seen, and I can classify it as that because they are uneducated. They just believe whatever this, that, and the other tells them, and then if someone else voices a logical, down to earth difference of opinion, they attack them. they literally go claws out, attack them, which is not good because it shows how ignorant they are and that they have no class or respect. They just kick the door off the hinges and spout their crap, and they wonder why people laugh at them. I laugh at these people too. I just laugh at them because they have no ground to stand on. Meanwhile, the educated hater, he does have ground to stand on, and I can actually hang with these people. And that's why I miss the most about the whole thing.
I think every now and again we get a little bit of that, but a lot of times it tends to be people like us who can just come hang out and we'll just try to agree to disagree. Like, so for instance, let's get into that anime, right? Because anime's not really my thing. Like, I've been very clear that the hyper reactive art style, the hearts in the eyes and the way that some of the animation's done, the very effeminate art design of men. Most male characters tend to be very
Valid
effeminate in body
points.
style. A lot of the anime, the men are all kind of the same. Like, there's really not much difference in the men. Like, they have different names, but they don't have a lot of attributes that are significantly different. So I have to look to someone like you to help curate to me what is good. Like I don't know which show you were on with me, but I know that I have a massive love for OG anime stuff of like Castle of
We were
Cagliostro and things like this, like just this classic style with these great characters and stories and depth. But I know people love to turn me on to these different shows and things like that. And sometimes the problem I also have, and you can address this one too,
oh
is they've been around for so long. People are asking me to watch like I don't know hours of my life. Days of my life. Hours become days. Like, forget about One Piece, which is like, well, 1100, 1200
oh no,
episodes, whatever.
I would
Yeah.
not.
Yeah.
Um,
So, but even like, like some of these shows, I'm like, there's so much content of it. I can't, I have to be honest with you. I don't have that much time. Because literally there's things that are coming up day to day, if not week to week for me to work on and try to fit in. Um, Sell me more on anime. What is some of the better ways to kind of find things you like? You mentioned Brandon. He's been my go-to guy this whole time because we were kind of like parallel coming. I won't say coming up together, but it's like what I mean. Because like you find each other early in your run, and you kind of that kind of thing. I found you a little bit later, but I listened to a lot of your takes on that kind of stuff too, especially while I'm driving. Um, what is your take on kind of like how to get a way to communicate who will like or don't like some anime or something like that?
to answer your questions, firstly, it was it was um it was Howl's Moving Castle. It was with
House Moving Castle.
It was
Mhm.
with
Yep.
Ironcaster. It was with Ironcaster. That's his name. I hope I'm spelling
Yeah.
it. I hope I'm saying it correctly,
You got it right.
because
Yep.
I remember
Ironcaster.
being on there with you. I remember being on that very particular stream with you. It was with Ironcast. It was with Ironcaster. It was with Ironcaster. That's his name. I hope I'm spelling it. I hope I'm saying it correctly, because I remember being on there with you. I remember being on that very particular stream with you and him, and we were talking about like the animation design, how everything is so detailed, from like the kitchen to the hats to the outfit to the animation style of things, how things move, the wind blowing across the grass and everything. You see it like visually. That's that's the anime we did a review on. Now, I would not recommend right out the gate One Piece or anything. The anime is probably one of the largest things out there. Same with Marvel Comics and the DC Comics and in general. It's a matter of like what your preference is. Like, if you're into horror, there's some good horror anime out there. If you're into like casual anime, I have a whole I know some that would be really good. And just, if there's over the top, there's a plethora of that. However, even though everybody almost looks the same, it just depends on the art style. It greatly depends on the art style, who created the animated series, who is behind it, who the storyboard artists are, and also from the manga creators themselves. We got include them in on this too. Anime has a long history, and I did critique this back in a video I did, my history with anime, and all the way back like to the 70s, 80s, because me and Brandon, we both come, even though we were born in different time periods. I believe he's older than me by a long shot. He's older than me, but we grew up in that same era, like from the 90s onward. He grew up in the 80s, but he's more of like this, and I'm into this. But we both saw how big and popular anime has become. For me, I go to what interests me, and there have been some anime where I lost interest immediately, like after the first few episodes. I lost interest, and there are some I grew up on that I could fondly talk about for hours with others, and there are other people like that. Case in point, like how I mentioned with Sailor Moon, that was my first one. Yeah, it may be girls and everything, but guess what? There's a guy here who actually likes it. I know many other people do. Uh, Also with Pokemon as well. Pokemon was huge. Still is to this day. It's amazing how far this has come. And with Dragon Ball Z and everything. It just depends on like, because there's a lot of anime that has so many seasons, so many episodes. It just depends on like what you want to go for and what interests you. Heck, there's even sports anime, which I never even
Mhm.
heard of, and I
Yeah.
sat down and watched some. I'm like, okay, I can actually enjoy this. Um,
I want to
it's
jump
the
in and
matter
just
of
say
your opinion.
I really loved your analogy to comic books, being obviously the comic book nerd that I am, because, like, I mean, now we're at the point now where, you get looking at 50, 60, 70, 80 years of content for comic books. People don't know what to do. So I always try to say, well, what character do you like? Because most people have heard of a superhero that they like, to know what, oh, you might enjoy reading this, you might enjoy reading this. And then I ask for the feedback so that I'll know, oh, did you like the art? Did you like the story? So then, oh, well, if you like that writing, then you might like this other story this person wrote, or the art this person wrote over here. I think anime is similar, right? They know I like certain things. So, oh, if you like that one, you'll like this one. And then I'm kind of down that rabbit hole. And that's how I've built some anime exposure, not as fast as most people would like. But you know what? We'll see. We'll see. But the other thing you do on your channel, though, I want to get to, and I don't want to sell it short because I think you've had good luck with it, is covering some like news stories, covering little. There's a censorship video you did. There's different little things that you do that people have really responded well to, and that kind of thing. Did you just kind of always think about doing that, or is that something you kind of fell backwards into just having good luck with?
What brought my attention to it is because everybody knows that there's some form of censorship that we can all agree with, like, oh, okay, I understand why that got censored and everything. There has to be a meaning behind the censorship, and unfortunately what we are seeing is a bunch of unnecessary censorship. I voiced my opinion on it because I was completely fed up. Like, I got so angry and so passionate because I want to see something succeed, but what the censorship is over something so minuscule, completely out of the ordinary. It's like, why are we censoring this outfit? Why are we doing that? Why are we changing this from this? It's like it doesn't make any sense, because as a longtime gamer, and it is the same thing with anime too. Same thing with anime. We see a censorship of anime as well coming here to the states, and we don't like it. The localization debacles that I have seen, and and the problem is, it's noticeable when the loudest people in the room speak the loudest. It's not the quiet people you have to worry about, it's the loudmouths that you have to worry about, because they will tell it to your face. And that's what I hated so much about, because they were so arrogant and they showed off what they did and everything. And that really angered me. So I got on the horn. I was so mad, and I voiced my opposition to it, and I'm against the cancel culture and all of that. I'm against the unnecessary, unfair censorship uh, of our entertainment from people who don't even read the material, from people who don't understand the complexity, the core element of the product that they are selling to us consumers. They don't get it, and it's just how it is. And I figured, well, while I voice my opinion on this, I've seen a lot of people do it, and I'm like, okay, if that works, then maybe I'll give my spin on it. I didn't do it because it's the hottest thing out there. I just do it because it's the anime fan in me and the gamer in me that just really comes out, really pushes my drive and everything to voice why I oppose this. And I read it carefully, word for word, and then later on got better and better and better at reading the points, like what was important in the article, what was important in this, what's the main topic, like trying to stay on the topic of what I am presenting, because I just got so tired of it. I was so tired, and these people needed to be called out. I didn't mention by name, even though there was one time where I did, but keep in mind my mind was really anger is a very powerful emotion. It's a very powerful emotion, and it can drive your force so in good ways and in bad ways. It's like, oh crap, I was really angry with that. And unfortunately, you have to like deal with the fallout with what you said. And I just did those videos because it was the right thing to do. Like more if a subject is that needed, I get it out there along with others just to say, hey, I want to draw attention to this topic. Like, hey guys, this is very, very serious. This is what they are planning next to do to this game, this anime, this comic, this TV series, what have you. Everything is at risk of being censored in very unfair ways. When you see what they are doing and what they are planning, it is so terrifying. And the way that this operates, the louder the fan base gets, the better the impact is. Now, I'm all for calling these people out legitimately, like legitimately, not going after them personally, but going after them on a public speaking, like, hey, look, we don't like what you're doing to our content, like how they would censor Toy Story. How about if they censor Toy Story, if they censor the word Lightyear because there's the word light in it, or Woody gets censored because his name is an innuendo, stuff like that. It's
Gotcha.
pointless censorship. It's pointless censorship, and that's why I draw people to that attention. Like, hey, I want to inform people, not twist words, not do this, that. I want to inform, and I feel like we're
Yeah.
missing that nowadays.
Well, I love it. I think that this is you're passionate about something, right? When you get passionate about something, it can lead to these emotional things, and you can use it as an outlet to do a video and talk to people about it. And I love it. I think it's great. I think it's one of the best things about doing this is, we can talk across the country for a conversation like this. What were the odds have been had we not had YouTube that you and I would not only meet, but we'd be able to hang out for almost an hour to just talk about nonsense. It's the best. It's the best. I love doing this kind of stuff. So before we get for the question for
Oh,
Pops, moment of this, let me ask you what you're going to do next. What's the next phase of the stream, the content, and things like that for your channel?
well, tonight I'm planning on doing a retro gaming stream. I'm going retro. I am well by retro I mean shedding light on games that are coming out and over that are being overlooked. I have a few in mind, but I'm trying to figure out what one I want to do first. Also, I'm keeping an eye out on things that are happening in the world of gaming. Currently, right now, the whole Dr. Disrespect thing that's going on, the hottest one right now, I have no ground to stand on, so I cannot give my full thoughts on it because as much as I watch his content and everything, I personally don't know the man. But everything that's coming out is starting to make me question: was this really intentional, or is he innocent? Because I'm on the fence of innocent until proven guilty. If he is found guilty of what he's accused of, you damn right I will go out and say, hey, look, I don't like this. But also, I'm also gonna be doing a few live streams coming soon. Nightcast is a new one I recently did. That's a new one. I did a test run of it, a test stream of it, and it surprisingly did well beyond my expectations. So I will be doing that tomorrow night. Uh, Probably 6, 8, between 6 and 7, somewhere in there. I have a lot more videos planned and more content planned. I'm also open to be a guest on any other stream because I love meeting people. I love doing this, especially with you, respected elder. Uh, I love doing this because I come in here as a guest. I always remind myself I'm a guest here. The host is the host. This is your channel. And I come and I treat it like I'm going over to a friend's house, or if I'm going over to my sister's house. I treat it with respect. And this is your house and your guests. So I'm holding all the traditional stuff that we grew upon. And I also bestow the gratefulness of being here.
It's awesome, my friend. Awesome. Well, thank you for doing that. I appreciate it. All the links are in the description, folks. Make sure you're connected. Check out some of those streams. Check out those news things. And if that's something you want to get engaged with, then drop him a content. Connect with him a little bit more and find out what else he's doing and working with. Though all that stuff will be there. So, yeah, we wrap up every week. We do one of these Watch Your Stories, and I let you guys ask the old man, ask Pops a question. So this will be your chance to do just that. And but again, folks, make sure you are connected to this guy. Super cool. I love listening to him while I'm driving around, hearing about different things he's talking about doing. And like I said, I'm not big in anime, so it's always like very educational for me because I'm not on my finger on that pulse. It's you guys doing that kind of conversation is what keeps me in the loop. So, all right, buddy, what's a good question for the old man?
What was your first comic book?
Well, see, it's so tricky because I had comics when I was little, like 6, like before Star Wars kind of thing. I had comics. Like my grandmother would take me to this little thrift store. It was run by like a fire department, and they were like 10 for $1 in this little basket. I'd get whatever. I'd beg, be good, save money. They'd make a quarter to 35 cents to 75 cents back then. So they'd be different. Those were my first comics, and I don't know which ones were my first ones, whether it was I was avidly into Avengers and Spider-Man and Hulk, more Marvel than DC as a child. That's what I remember as a kid. Everything for me as a collector, reader, really passionate about all this was Batman 89, the movie. And then I had a friend, and he and his brother had all these graphic novels. And within like a weekend, we're hanging out because we went and see Batman 89 again. I worked for the theater at that time, so we could go see Batman 89 as many times as we could get a seat for because I had free tickets. And I remember hanging out and I read Dark Knight Returns and I read Year One. And I was down the rabbit hole and I went to Walden Books at University Mall in Tampa, Florida, before it became whatever it is now, and bought like stacks. And I was down the Frank Miller rabbit hole and all stuff he did. I was down all this DC stuff, things like that. So the answer to your question is really kind of those two things: as a child, and then as an adult, collector, reader, investor. Because ever since then, yeah. Follow up question. Go ahead.
I have a quick follow up question.
Sure.
I don't know if you have anything. I don't know if you have anything signed, but what was the first thing you got signed? Who was it by?
Oh yeah, good question. And it is. I want to get it off the shelf. I actually have it. Hold on a second. I'm gonna get it. It's on the shelf. Hold on. Be right back, folks.
And remember, guys, take everything I say with a grain of salt, and also carve your own path. Everybody is here for advice because we do listen. We're not afraid to tell you the truth. It's just how you go about it.
I'm sorry. I didn't have my earbud in. I couldn't hear anything you said right then. Sorry. Go ahead. What did you say?
Don't worry. I was just telling our audience like to carve their own path and take everything that I have said with a grain of salt and everything. But we're always here for advice. We're not afraid to tell the truth. We can be brutally honest, but hey, we're more honest than liars, and believe me, we seem few and far between with those.
Yeah.
Oh,
Sure.
go ahead.
All right. So among those first graphic novels I got was Crisis on Infinite Earths. So this is a new copy. I bought this is not the one that I bought at that time. I bought a nice one. So this is the one I bought. Let me make it bigger. Let's do that. Okay, so this is a Crisis on Infinite Earth graphic novel.
There we go.
Never really read it. Got it to be signed. So I went to MegaCon.
Oh wow!
And got it signed to Me and the Kids by the late great George Perez. And then in the back, Marv Wolfman, who did the story, and Dick Giordano, who did the ink. So it is signed by everyone. So never really been read. It was purchased and bought just for this very purpose, to have something that would be for the kids. And there's a little certificate that I had, which I don't even know that really matters. They just filled them out back then. But yeah, got everything done for that very reason. So yeah, it was back when like they were so personable and nice about everything. Like it was like super chill. And a guy ahead of me had taken like, oh man, I don't know, there had to be like 20 or 30 Teen Titan books to get them signed by Wolfman and Perez.
Oh,
so
Jesus.
It was like kind of rude. Like it was a weird thing back then. Like it wasn't thought of as rude, I guess. But for me as like an adult with kids, I thought that's kind of a rude move to do. But that's like the nerds kind of, it was like not, eBay was a thing, but not so big that you would think they were going to sell them on eBay. And there wasn't really grading yet. The certificate was this literally was the equivalent of a certificate of authenticity. There was no, it's like a handwritten thing that probably someone could easily have forged or whatever. There was no CGC back then. There was no CCBS. So, but yeah, that was probably the first thing I'm pretty sure that's the first thing I had signed in that same topic of conversation for sure. So cool. You got anything else you want to show off real quick? 'Cause I know you kind of went looking. I want to see. Ooh, that's signed by a whole bunch of people. That's your Sailor Moon thing. Yeah.
Yep.
All right.
I actually got Sailor Neptune, one of my personal Sailor Moon VAs. I got to meet Lyndon. Jesus Christ, I can't even talk right now. I got to meet Linda Ballantyne, the voice of Sailor Moon. And imagine me growing up as a kid on June 1st, 1998, Cartoon Network, the world premiere of Sailor Moon on the Toonami block. Getting to meet the legendary VA herself of Sailor Moon. I almost cried. Like anime, it was like a big bucket list off. It was like the biggest check mark off my bucket list.
Yeah.
And one of the things I had to get, I have a collection of autographs not because I'm going there like I gotta meet them, but I'm going there to show my appreciation for the work they did growing up and everything, and let them know that, hey, thank you for voicing this character and what made that show or movie so great. Oh, I know
got you into anime, right? And got you into anime. Like
yes,
you already said that earlier. Now it's like, wow, this person needs to know like forever. Whatever content you do, whatever you discuss anime, kind of goes back to that Sailor Moon content that kind of kicked the ball off for you personally and got you going. Same thing with this comic book for me. Like it was part of that initial phase of doing something that was so good, it made me passionate about finding more stuff that was good. And you know what I mean? It's like that's I went into that same thing. I went into this as more like a keepsake, like an heirloom for the kids to document this exact story, which I obviously didn't have foresight to know that I'd be doing a YouTube video someday discussing the exact meaning behind this book. But there it is, folks. There it is.
I also cosplayed as Tuxedo Mask when I got to meet them. I got to meet her and Kathy Griffin, the voice of Sailor Mars. Not Christina V, she's the current one, but the classic one. I had a chance to meet both of them a few years back, and I didn't care money. I didn't care about money. Money is not a factor when you're this passionate about what you love. We were, and the cool thing is, me and Linda, we recited a few voice lines from the anime, and I tried so hard, Pops. I tried so unbelievably hard not to break down into like fan tears and everything. I've tried.
And hopefully there's a video out there that captured it, because I want to see AK weeping. I mean, that's what I really want to say. Be honest. Just being honest with my feelings. All right.
I wish I did, but
I know.
My sister hugged me afterwards, and she's like, "How do you feel?" I'm like, I feel like I just met God. I met Jesus and God at the same time.
Fulfilled.
Now I'm back from heaven.
I feel fulfilled. I feel fulfilled. Well, we're going to end with that, folks. Listen, again, all links are in the description. You can check out some different things there that we've talked about. Subscribe to this guy. Check out his content, news things like that. It's awesome doing this and hanging out. I appreciate you guys out there being a member, being a supporter, and a fan. Everything you're just doing just makes all this unbelievable. Until next time, folks, be blessed and take care. Take care, AK, and we'll see you next time. Take care, folks.